Workout Wednesday, week 7, 2020. What happens if? Can you update the sales forecast and targets using only parameters? Now, looking at the discussion on Twitter and some comments, this was a pretty difficult week. So I'm sorry, but let's hope this solution video will help you get on your way and help you build the end solution. So let's have a look what is required. So the presentation by Ryan Lowers and Nathan Leather this is where I got this idea from, using parameters as a data source. So I wanted to do that for sales and targets in our dashboards. So we have our set of rules. I think this is going to be pretty important. So I'm just going to copy this so that I have it ready to go in my copy paste. So now we're just going to go through all of the nitty gritty bits to help you build this dashboard. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build our category sales dashboard sheet first. So let's do that. So step 1, done. Let's filter to the latest year. Step 2, done. Okay, so we have our first thing. So what we need to do now is we need to create our target sales. So that's where I thought that target calculation would be interesting. So if I create a calc and just call it target, and then if I put that in there, we can then use that to create our targets. Now this is going to become apparent later on once we get the dashboard actions working. So the first thing we need to do is we need to tell Tableau how to interpret that target field. So we're going to do a calculation to extract the specific value of that target. So what we're going to do is we're going to go call this sales target. Now we're going to do regex here. So regex extract. And we're going to say we want that target string and we want the pattern to be in speech marks underscore bracket backslash D, which is find any digit more than 1 times, and bracket. So anything inside the bracket is what Tableau is going to extract from this specific calculation. So now if I just show you, put a comment in, just by double quoting, you can see there that it's got an underscore and then it's got some digits in the background. So that's what we want to be able to extract. So now we have this. If the one thing that we do need to do is it should automatically pick up the category. So what we also need to do here is add in category, so then it knows which category it's trying to extract from this target. So if I hit OK, and we want to change this to a decimal and just move it down there, and then if I drag that on here, this is not going to work because I have, it's as a sum, so this is going to go across all of our different rows that we have in our data. So we want to just change this to a minimum, and I'm just going to set the default to that so that whenever we bring it in, it's going to be always as a minimum. So now we've got this, what we can do is we don't want a shared axis, we actually want a dual axis. So if I drag it at the top there, the top one we want to be a bar, and the bottom one we want to be a Gantt. So if I make that full size, let's make sure our axes are synchronized, and I want the Gantt to be in black. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. So we have our first sheet on our dashboard. So now what we need to do is we need to update this field based on a selection. So I'm going to create a parameter, which is, sorry, not a calculation, a parameter, which is going to be our sales target. So this is going to allow you to put in a specific number on for our sales. And we're just going to set this as 250,000. Okay. So I'm going to show parameter control. It's not doing anything yet because we've not told Tableau how to use it. And then what we need to do is we need to create another parameter which allows us to use that concatenation that we showed you before. So I'm just going to put that in there. And this is going to be our target concat. So we need this for our parameter action to work. So hit OK. So again, I'm going to show parameter control. So as you can see, it's still not doing anything right now. So I'm just going to take out all of those at the beginning so that we can see, if I change this to 300,000, you'll be able to see what this is going to do. So furniture's at the bottom and we want to bump that up to 300,000. Okay, so if I go back into my sales target calculation, now this is currently looking at just purposely that target calculation that we created before, which is above the category, and then extracting that. So now we want to be able to see if the target concat parameter isn't empty, then give us back that value. So what we're going to do here is we're going to wrap this in an if statement. So if contains a target concat. One second. So if contains target concat and category, then do that regex extract again, but of the target concat, category, and then the same regex as before. So plus speech marks, underscore, bracket, \d, any digit, more than one times, close bracket, and then close speech marks. And then you want to do an else so that we have the backup as the other target. And then just wrap that in an end. So this calculation should, so when I hit OK, this should move this target up to 300,000. Perfect, so that is working. So now what we need to do is we need to tell Tableau how to use this specific parameter. So I need to tell Tableau the concatenation field of how to, when you select a specific category, on how to update it. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to build our little circle plot that we have on our right hand side. So just going to make these into circles, and then we're going to create the dashboard. So it was 1,000 by 500. Then we're going to have sheet 1 and sheet 2. So as you can see, these are your categories up here, and then we've got our dashboard actions. So what we're going to do is, if I go to, I need to create a calculated field which adds on the selection to our target concatenation. So we're going to have a new calculated field, target new, and this is going to be a calculation which concatenates all of those fields. So we're going to have our target concat plus the attribute of category plus an underscore, and then plus the string round of sales target parameter, and then at the end of that a delimiter so that we know where one thing starts and another thing ends. And we're just going to add that onto our detail shelf so that Tableau can still see it and it knows what it's currently doing. So this, at the end of this one, needs one of those. Right, okay, so we have our selections here. So now what we need Tableau to do is update that target field. So if we go to dashboard, dashboard actions, add action, change parameter value, and then from here we set the parameter to being when you click on sheet 2, because that's the selection criteria, you want it to update the target concat string. And also, before we do that, we need to add that target concat target new onto detail here as well, so that Tableau can see it. So go back to our dashboard actions, edit these, and make sure that field is with that target new. And this is we're just gonna call this target so we know which one it is. So now when I hit furniture, it's gonna give furniture at 250,000. So if I change this to 300k and then select office supplies, it's going to add office supplies in here. So as you can see, we've got that selection up there. So if I clear all of this, we get our original targets back. Now I want to make technology 300,000, so I'm going to click that. Then we're going to change this to 50k, and we're going to make that the furniture one. And then also we want office supplies to be 270k for office supplies. So now you can see that we've got our full concat string ready to go for our new selections. So we want to be able to also tell Tableau how to color these so that we know which ones we have selected. So this is another calculation which is looking at whether it contains the actual category or not. So it's current selected target, and this is if contains the target concat category, then bring me back the category end, and then hit OK. So if I hit that on color, you'll be able to see that each one of those has been selected. So now if I clear this, you'll see that it all goes back to null because I haven't selected anything. So again, furniture 1, 2, 3. Now we have our colours selected and we're all up to 270,000 on our targets. So we're almost there. The final thing we need to do is we need to create that dummy true-false calculation. So I'm just going to call this one true. And then we're going to have another calculation, and this one's called false. Okay, and we're going to add both of those on here so that when we go onto our dashboard actions, we can add a filter from sheet 2 to sheet 2 to the actual sheet number 2. Selected fields, and what we want to say here is false equals true, which we know it doesn't, so it doesn't select it. hit OK. On the select, hit OK, hit OK. So now when I select furniture, you'll never know that I've just selected it apart from when the colours change. Now, the final thing that we need to do is we need to be able to reset this because we don't want this on our dashboard. So we need a new sheet, which is a reset button. So I'm just going to double click in here and hit reset. So we get a shape, and then I'm going to go into my shapes files, and somewhere in here we have our circle that means reset, and I can't remember where I put it, which is super handy right now. Oh, not quite. You would think you would put it in a logical place. However, clearly I don't like logical. Nope. Category, nope. Okay, so let's just pretend that this one is our circle to reset. So we're just going to make this fit entire view so that you can see what it is doing. So now if we go back onto our dashboards, we add sheet 3 in here, and edit, hide title, and let me just actually reduce the size because you don't need it that big really. So again, we want that true false on here, so true and false, and we want that dashboard action to affect that sheet as well. So dashboard actions filter to from sheet 3 to sheet 3 selected fields, which is our false, and then that one is our true. Okay, select. Okay, so now when we at least click on that, it's not going to do anything that we can see. But what we want to do is when you click this sheet, it's going to reset all of these. So we need to create another calculation, which is the reset target. So if we go into here, I'm going to create this reset target. And all we want to say here is replace parameter the target concat with the target concat and bring back the target that we've selected. So this is the field we're looking at. We want to replace what's already in there with the target, which is this. So we're replacing all of those fields back to this target field. So if I hit that and put that onto detail, you'll see that it's got the other fields in there that we've set before. So I'm going to create a parameter action now. So on our dashboard, we want to hit the reset target. So if we go to our dashboard and go dashboard actions, and now we add in another parameter action, but this time only from sheet 3. The target parameter is that target concat, and the field that we want to use is reset. So now this is the reset target. Hit OK. Hit OK. So now when I hit this, this should empty. Sorry, this should go back to being the string that we suggested before. So I just need to update this calculation that's showing the selections. So if I go into here, edit, we don't want to have this target concat equals category. We want to say that if the target concat doesn't equal the target and that contains the category, it'll then reset it back to null and then hit OK and go back to our dashboard. So now when we hit furniture, it's then going to change that selection and the calculation has broke, but you get the gist of things, and we can reset this. So one thing that I think that we need to do here is we need to not let it affect the parameter string. So let me just figure this one out a second. Yeah, so from now on, what you need to do here is you need to do the same but with the sales forecast. So then you add that in as a shared axes and you can go from there. So the final thing that we need to do is we need to do those tooltips. So we need to add some calculations in here. So what we want to do is we want to add in our target, which is our sales target. So if we add that on here onto tooltip, sorry, not onto tooltip, we want it on text. You'll be able to see that it's picking up the specific target value. Then we want the sales on label as well. And then we want the percent difference. So what we can do here is we can create the difference from current, which is the percent change. So we're just going to call this percent change target. So we want the sum of sales minus the minimum of sales target. Wrap that in brackets. And then you want divided by the minimum of the sales target. So that gives us our percent change. So in here we can format this default properties, number format, percentage, 0 decimal places. But what we can do is we can add our little triangles in here. So I have my character map up here. So if I find my keyboard, what we want is we want a downwards arrow. So we can add that in and we want an upwards arrow. So I can double click that. So if I move my upwards arrow and then put a colon in and then put a down arrow and 0%, that should give you the negative effect. So if I hit OK and then add that to my label, it doesn't need to be a colon, it needs to be a semicolon. And then hit OK, and you'll be able to see that you're downward. If it's less than your target, you're down 5%. So that is how you do your tooltip, your text label as well. Now, all you need to do is repeat all of that for your sales forecast. It's the same concept, just using a different parameter, sales target, and a different target concat parameter. Good luck. Let me know how you get on.